Friends, citizens, seekers of truth, lend me your ears, and more importantly, your minds, for I come to you not as an emperor, not as a philosopher on a gilded throne, but as a fellow traveler on this tumultuous journey of life. And I bring a warning, an urgent plea, a revelation that, if truly embraced, can liberate you from a tyranny more insidious than any legion, more pervasive than any plague, the tyranny of the unexamined, yes. Look around you. Observe the weary faces, the hurried footsteps, the spirits burdened by invisible chains. How many amongst you feel the constant gnawing of obligation, the crushing weight of commitments you never truly desired? How many find their precious time, their vital energy, siphoned away by demands that are not their own, by requests that serve others' agendas while eroding their own peace? This, my friends, is the silent epidemic of our age. It is a slow poison, leaching joy from your days, clarity from your thoughts, and purpose from your very being. I have witnessed in the courts of power and in the quiet corners of my own soul the corrosive effect of an inability to utter that simplest yet most profound of words. No. It is a word often feared, misunderstood, and tragically underutilized. Yet within its two letters lies a power, a grace, a profound act of self-preservation that is essential for true flourishing. If you feel the truth of my words resonate within you, if you sense the echoes of your own exhaustion and overwhelm, then I urge you, do not avert your gaze. Lean in, for what I am about to impart could very well be the key to unlocking a life of greater serenity, greater purpose, and greater freedom. This is not some esoteric philosophical concept. This is a practical tool, a shield for your soul, a beacon to guide you back to your true north. And it is a lesson I, Marcus Aurelius, learned through bitter experience and profound reflection. Consider the swift current of a river. It flows relentlessly, shaping the banks, moving all that is cast into it. Your life, too, has a current, a direction you wish for it to take. But what happens when you allow every stray branch, every passing leaf, every discarded stone to divert your flow? You lose momentum, you dissipate your strength, and you never reach your intended destination. This, I tell you, is precisely what happens when you fail to master the simple no. Each unexamined yes is a diversion, a tributary siphoning off your vital essence. It is time, my friends, to reclaim the banks of your own river. It is time to steer your course with deliberate intent, rather than drifting aimlessly on the currents of others' demands. Understand this: the world, in its ceaseless turning, will always present you with opportunities to divest yourself of your most precious resources, your time, your energy, your attention. From the simplest request for a moment of your day to the grandest demand on your talents, the universe conspires to fill every void you leave open. And too often we, in our desire to be agreeable, to be liked, to avoid conflict, open wide the gates of our inner citadel, allowing all manner of invaders to plunder our stores. I confess even I, with the weight of an empire upon my shoulders, struggled with this. The demands on an emperor are relentless. Petitions, diplomatic overtures, military strategies, personal pleas, a constant deluge of external pressures. There were times in my younger days when I felt compelled to respond to every summons, to address every grievance, to entertain every request. The result? A profound weariness, a dilution of my focus, and a growing sense of being perpetually at the mercy of external forces, rather than the master of my own domain. I remember one particular instance, a seemingly minor request from a distant procurator for an assessment on a new aqueduct project. It seemed simple enough, a mere formality. Yet it led to days of poring over reports, consulting engineers, mediating disputes between competing factions. The time I spent on this single, tangential task was time I could have dedicated to meditating on justice, to refining military strategy, or to guiding the daily affairs of Rome with deeper wisdom. It was a painful lesson in the insidious creep of the unexamined yes. It was in moments of profound introspection, often under the vast, silent canvas of the Roman night, that I began to understand. My time, my energy, my mental clarity, these were not infinite wellsprings. They were precious, finite resources like the water in a desert oasis. To squander them on every whim, every unexamined request, was not an act of virtue, but an act of self-sabotage. It was a failure of stewardship, a neglect of the very faculties that allowed me to serve my people, to govern justly, and to cultivate my own soul. This realization was a revelation. It was the first step towards understanding that setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but an act of self-preservation, a prerequisite for effective action, and a cornerstone of true generosity. For how can you truly give of yourself? How can you offer your best when your well is constantly running dry? Think of a lamp. If it is to provide light, it must be regularly replenished with oil. If you are constantly pouring out your oil for every fleeting request, soon your lamp will flicker and die, leaving both yourself and those around you in darkness. Your capacity to give, to serve, to truly illuminate the lives of others is directly tied to your ability to protect and replenish your own internal reserves. Why then, if the benefits are so clear, do we find this simple word so difficult to utter? The reasons are manifold and often deeply ingrained in the very fabric of our social conditioning. Firstly, there is the fear of disapproval. We crave acceptance. We desire to be seen as helpful, as kind, as agreeable. The thought of disappointing someone, of being perceived as uncooperative or uncaring, can be a powerful deterrent. We imagine the furrowed brow, the slighted look, the unspoken judgment. We conjure scenarios of being ostracized, of losing favor, of burning bridges. Yet, I ask you, at what cost do you purchase this fleeting approval? At the cost of your peace, your purpose, your very essence. Is the momentary discomfort of someone else's mild disappointment truly greater than the enduring suffering of your own exhaustion and regret? A true friend, a wise colleague, will respect your boundaries, even if they initially feel a fleeting pang of unmet expectation. Those who do not respect your no are often those who seek to exploit your yes. Secondly, there is the myth of obligation. We often feel an unwritten law compelling us to say yes, especially to those we care about or those in positions of authority. We believe we must attend every social gathering, must take on every extra task, must respond immediately to every communication. This belief, my friends, is often an illusion. Many obligations we perceive are self-imposed, born of habit or a mistaken sense of duty. Consider the social gathering you dread, the committee meeting you feel compelled to join despite its irrelevance to your goals, the email you feel pressured to answer at midnight. Are these true obligations or merely habits of conformity? The unexamined life, as Socrates taught, is not worth living. And the unexamined obligation is a burden not worth carrying. Thirdly, there is the desire to be indispensable. We want to be needed, to be valued. Taking on more, stretching ourselves thin, can sometimes feel like a validation of our worth. We equate busyness with importance, exhaustion with effort. But true worth, I assure you, does not lie in the sheer volume of your commitments, but in the quality of your contributions, in the integrity of your character, and in the peace of your own mind. A person overwhelmed by 1,000 tasks performs none of them with true excellence. A person who deliberately chooses a few vital endeavors performs them with profound mastery and greater impact. Do you wish to be merely busy or truly impactful? Lastly, and perhaps most subtly, there is the lack of a clear inner compass. When we do not truly know what is important to us, what our priorities are, what our purpose is, then every external demand seems equally valid. Without a defined inner citadel, without a clear sense of what we are protecting, we leave our gates unguarded, open to every passerby. It is like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by every gust of wind, never reaching its intended harbor. Before you can say no to others, you must first say yes to yourself, to your values, to your vision for your life. Without this internal affirmation, every external request will feel like a legitimate claim on your resources. To master the art of saying no is not to become a recluse, nor to cultivate an arrogant indifference. On the contrary, it is an act of profound wisdom and deep respect, both for yourself and for others. It is about setting boundaries with grace, with clarity, and with integrity. It is about understanding that your no to one thing is often a yes to something more important. Consider these principles, tested in the crucible of my own experience. 1. Know thyself, know thy priorities. This is the bedrock. Before you can effectively say no to others, you must first say yes to yourself. What truly matters to you? What are your core values? What are your non-negotiable commitments to your health, your family, your work, your personal growth? Spend time in quiet contemplation. Journal your thoughts. Identify the 3 to 5 most important areas of your life right now. When you have a clear understanding of your priorities, the decision of whether to accept or decline a request becomes infinitely simpler. You are not saying no arbitrarily. You are saying no in alignment with your deepest values. This is your guiding star, your internal compass. 2. The power of pause. In the immediacy of a request, our instinct is often to respond instantly, to fill the silence, to avoid perceived awkwardness. Resist this urge. Cultivate the habit of pausing. A brief silence, a moment of reflection, can be a powerful tool. It allows you to consult your inner compass, to assess the true cost of the commitment. You are not obligated to give an immediate answer. A simple, "Let me consider that and get back to you by tomorrow," or "I need to check my schedule and capacity," buys you invaluable time. This pause is your buffer, your breathing room, your opportunity to make a deliberate choice rather than a reflexive reaction. It's the difference between being swept away by a wave and choosing to ride it or let it pass. 3. Be clear, concise, and kind. When you do deliver your no, do so with clarity and kindness. There is no need for lengthy justifications, elaborate excuses, or apologies that diminish your resolve. Such elaborate explanations often signal uncertainty and can invite further negotiation. A simple, polite refusal is often the most effective. For example, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I won't be able to commit to that at this time." Or, "I appreciate the offer, but my plate is full right now, and I need to focus on existing commitments." Notice the absence of blame or guilt. You are stating a fact about your capacity, not judging the request or the person making it. Be firm but gentle. Your tone can convey respect, even as your words set a boundary. 4. Offer alternatives when appropriate. Sometimes a no can be softened by offering an alternative. This demonstrates goodwill without compromising your boundaries. For instance, "I can't take on that project myself, but perhaps another person would be a good fit." Or, "I could offer a brief consultation on a specific aspect." Or, "I can't commit to the full event, but I could offer an hour of my time to help with a specific, smaller task on another day." This is not always necessary, nor is it a requirement. Only offer alternatives if you genuinely wish to, and if it does not infringe upon your own peace. It is a gracious gesture in certain circumstances, a way to show you are thoughtful, not simply dismissive. 5. Understand that your no is a yes. Every time you say no to something that does not serve you, you are simultaneously saying yes to something that does. You are saying yes to your well-being, yes to your priorities, yes to the activities that truly bring you joy and fulfillment. You are saying yes to your physical health by declining an unnecessary late-night engagement. You are saying yes to your mental clarity by refusing to take on another overwhelming project. You are saying yes to your family by choosing to spend precious time with them instead of attending an optional social event. This reframing is incredibly empowering. Your no is not a rejection of another, but an affirmation of yourself and what truly matters in your finite time on this earth. 6. Practice, practice, practice. Like any skill, setting boundaries requires practice. The first few times may feel awkward, even uncomfortable. You may encounter resistance or even disappointment from others. Some may even try to guilt-trip you or question your commitment. Stand firm. Remember your inner compass. But with each successful no, your resolve will strengthen and your inner peace will deepen. You are retraining yourself, and you are also training others how to treat you and how to respect your time and energy. Think of it as building a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. The initial discomfort is a sign of growth, not failure. Imagine a life where your time is truly your own, where your energy is focused on what truly matters, where your decisions are driven by internal purpose rather than external pressure. This is not a utopian fantasy. It is the natural consequence of embracing the power of the simple no. When you master this art, here are some things you will find. Greater focus and productivity. With fewer distractions and obligations, you can dedicate your full attention to your most important tasks, leading to higher quality work and greater impact. You become a craftsman of your own endeavors, rather than a mere laborer under someone else's whip. The quality of your output will elevate, not just the quantity. Reduced stress and burnout. The constant pressure of overcommitment is a primary source of modern suffering, leading to physical ailments, mental exhaustion, and emotional detachment. By setting boundaries, you create space for rest, rejuvenation, and genuine leisure. You reclaim your breath, your calm, your very vitality. Stronger relationships. Surprisingly, clear boundaries can strengthen your relationships. When others understand and respect your limits, your interactions become more authentic and less fraught with unspoken resentment. They learn to value your yes because they know it is given freely and authentically, not out of obligation or fear. True relationships are built on mutual respect, and respecting one's own boundaries is the first step in fostering that respect in others. Enhanced self-respect. Each time you honor your own needs and priorities, you reinforce your self-worth. You demonstrate to yourself that you are valuable, that your time and energy are precious commodities. This builds inner confidence, a sense of self-agency that is far more valuable than external validation. You become the architect of your life, not merely a brick in someone else's wall. More time for what truly matters. This is perhaps the greatest reward. Imagine the space you create for contemplation, for learning, for genuine connection with loved ones, for pursuing your passions, for simply being. This is the very essence of a life well lived, a life rich in meaning and purpose, rather than merely busy. This is the time for reading the great texts, for quiet walks in nature, for meaningful conversations, for creative pursuits that nourish your soul. These are the moments that truly define a life of peace and wisdom. Remember the words of Epictetus, "Freedom is the right to live as we wish." And I, Marcus Aurelius, would add, true freedom often begins with the courage to decline what does not align with your deepest wishes, your highest good. For what good is a vast empire if the emperor himself is a slave to endless demands? What good is a full schedule if your soul is empty? This journey, like all journeys of self-mastery, is not without its challenges. There will be moments when the siren song of obligation calls to you, when the fear of disapproval whispers in your ear, when the old habits of automatic compliance try to reassert themselves. But in those moments, I urge you to remember this conversation. Remember the quiet strength of the no, not as an act of rejection, but as an act of profound affirmation. Affirmation of your purpose, affirmation of your peace, affirmation of your sovereignty over your own life. Your inner citadel, your soul, is a sacred space. Do not allow it to be overrun by the uninvited. Stand guard at its gates. Discern wisely what you allow to enter. For in the meticulous cultivation of your inner garden, in the careful tending of your time and energy, lies the true path to a life of meaning, resilience, and serene contentment. May your choices be deliberate, your boundaries clear, and your spirit unburdened. Go forth and live a life truly your own. Thank you for watching and for allowing these words to resonate within you. If this message has stirred something within your soul, if it has illuminated a path toward greater freedom, I invite you to subscribe. Join this ongoing dialogue, for the pursuit of wisdom is a journey best shared. Until we meet again, may your inner citadel stand strong, and may your no be as graceful and powerful as your yes.